achieving strategic objectives. So first of all, let me unpack strategy. I also wear the hat of a strategy specialist, and to unpack strategy is very simple because all you do is to look at three key steps. The first step is, where do we want to go? Do we have clarity on where we want to be, say, in the next 5, 10 years, maybe 2 or 3 years, depending on how far into the future you're looking at? And have you been able to very clearly define what that future looks like? And then you come to the present. And part of examining the present is looking back at where we've come from, but also looking at where are we now. So among other things, strengths, weaknesses, gaps in our performance that we want. We have clarity, yes, on our strategy, on where we want to go, where we want to end up in the next strategy period, but then now we look at where we are. The way we are now, are we able to achieve that level of performance? So in other words, where are the gaps? The gaps may not only be with the people, it might be with the tools, equipment, our structure, and so on. But for the sake of today and because of time, we'll concentrate on the people element. So are our people right now capacitated to achieve the level of performance that will bring the results we want? There are other considerations, the number of people we have, the equipment we have, the financing, etc. But we focus on the people because once we've looked at where we want to go and we've looked at where we are now, among other things, a SWOT analysis and other tools to just help to evaluate where we are now, the next thing is, how then do we move from where we are to where we want to go? The steps that we need to take. And of course, again, putting in place people, organizing the resources, and making sure that we are steadily taking the steps to achieve it. And so that then is where the gaps can be identified. Bridging them then means developing learning and development strategies. So taking out, not ignoring all the other pieces, but now elevating the learning and development piece to say, where are the gaps? Are they performance gaps? Are they culture gaps? And are they, equipment gaps, maybe structure gaps? How do we bridge them?
So identifying.
So when we drill that down now to then the learning and development strategies, then we start now thinking about the interventions. Is it training that is needed? Not always the case, but it could be. Or is it a coaching need? Or is it, just a mindset need and other things? And then we put in place the interventions needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caroline. That was very insightful. So I hear you said two things. The first is you need to be able to identify the gap. And after you have identified the gap, you would now be able to determine what interventions do I need to put in place to be able to fix that gap. Okay, let me just quickly go on to some of the comments coming in. We have Nyama says, watching live from Accra. And then Margaret Jackson. Hey, Coach Margaret, how are you? Coach Margaret says, Caroline is the conference chair. Yes, we know Caroline just told us. That's a very big position. Kudos to you, Coach Margaret and Caroline, for the great work you are doing out there. But coming back to the conversation, Caroline, identifying the gap and looking out for interventions for the gap. Is it a learning gap? Can you go over that again?
Yes, because you see, to achieve those goals, to achieve the outcomes we want, we need to identify where we are, and part of that is, where do we fall short? And what I want to emphasize is that if the level of performance is, more or less the same, then there may not be any gap. But if we need to elevate our people, our constituents, in order to think and act and, consistently behave in a certain way, then there are certain interventions that need to be put in place. And so what we find is that part of it is assessing performance needs. Who do they need to be? How do they need to be? What mindset do they need to have in order to perform at that level? And then how do we develop them? And you see, this is the reason why it's called learning and development, because learning is what you put in your mind. Of course, you can go to training, gaining the knowledge, but it's more than that, because I usually say that what you know isn't enough, it's what you do with what you know. And so, where are the gaps in terms of the learning? Is it a skill that they need to have, which means they go and learn that skill and should be able to adequately apply it? Or is it knowledge that they need in their head? Or more importantly, and this was a really key today, is it a mindset they need to have? And so, really, the learning and development part is really about people transformation, growing your people, not just professionally or in skills, but also in mindsets, in attitudes, in also how they relate with one another in order to elevate them and then achieve the results which are desired. I think the important thing, even in addressing the gaps, is to do it continuously. It's not something that you do once, but something that you do regularly. Why? Because sometimes we have a change in strategy. Sometimes we need, what we thought we needed at the beginning, we find after 6 months, 1 year, that no, that intervention isn't working. It's not giving us the results we want. We need to go back to the drawing board and develop something else. I've been a consultant for about nearly 20 years now. And what I've found is that as you keep interrogating, as you keep implementing, you then refine what you're doing. So I think that organizations need to be doing that dipstick regularly. The dipstick is, yes, we said that we would do X, Y, Z to move us where we want to be. How are we doing? So you're measuring periodically, and out of measuring, sorry to use the word, but it is about learning, you learn. You learn by interrogating what went well and asking the question why. What doesn't seem to be working so well? And you still ask the question why. And then the next thing is very important. How do we improve? What do we need to do better, differently, in order to get to that ultimate result that we want after at the end of your ultimate strategic period? And so it's a continuous, engaged process. It's not something that you put in place and let to run on autopilot. You need to keep interrogating, you need to keep checking yourselves, you need to check your methodologies. Most of all, you need to be measuring the results and the outcomes at the interim level, which build up to the ultimate level.
That is quite extensive, Caroline. You start off right back, Patricia, if I can connect to you, aligning strategy with business success. I kind of see a connect.
Yeah.
Because you can have the
Yes.
strategies according to what Caroline is saying. You can have all the strategies in place, you can have all the systems in place, but how do you align the competencies of the people to drive that strategy into
Exactly.
becoming a success?
Exactly.
And Caroline, if I hear you right, that's a lot of work.
It is. It is. LnD is not for the faint-hearted, but it's a wonderful place to be because anything meaningful, any meaningful transformation needs investment. And I'm talking about your emotional investment. Your heart has to be in it. And then the tireless effort of educating even the stakeholders, because one of the conversations we had today as well was that sometimes, or was it yesterday, possibly yesterday, if I recall correctly, is that sometimes you need to educate the stakeholders. For instance, if you're working as a consultant and an organization calls you in, they say, my people are not doing this, they're not keeping time, or they're not performing the way we want them to perform. They need a training. Who said that you need a training, right? So there's educating, your stakeholders, of course, doing all the work around the training cycle from obsessive performance needs, designing the intervention, then designing the actual training program, implementing it, of course, supporting, making sure that it's embedded, that it's being applied, and of course, measuring the impact of it. And all the time, being very engaged with your sponsors. And that, yes, as you're saying, is a lot of work, but done right, it yields the right fruits. We want to win, and we need to make the right investments to win.
Do you think African institutions have gotten to that level where they see learning and development as a worthy investment?
Some have, most are still on the way. The important thing to acknowledge and appreciate is that we are not where we were 10 or 15 years ago, or even 20. But my big question is, are we where we want to be? So just echoing your question to me, no, we are not. And does it ever end? No, it doesn't. We appreciate it today that learning and development is a journey, not a destination. So even the companies and the global companies and local companies that have knocked it out of the park, that are doing it very well, they've never arrived. There's always that thing you need to improve, that element you need to tweak, those things you need to just take out completely and build in another one. There's always work to be done. The important thing is to lay the right foundation, and also going back to mindset, to create that learning mindset and culture so that we are continuously interrogating, continuously doing the research, continuously measuring, and continuously improving.
Coach Margaret just sent in a message from LinkedIn. She says, serious investments by individuals, organizations, and governments. Do you think that learning and development is the way to go to bring about the transformation we're looking out for in Africa?
Yes, yes. And I want to just preface my answer with a quotation that is really popular, not attributed to anyone. If anyone knows who it is attributed to, you
Sorry.
can let me know. But it's very popular in psychology that learning is not said to have happened unless there's a change in behavior. And so it starts at the individual level, and that's where I agree 100% with Coach Margaret that yes, I go through life. What has life taught me? What have I gained, and have I changed my behavior as a result? For instance, you want to save money for investment, and so you tell yourself that you'll save X amount of money every month, but then that's making the decision, but do you actually do it? Do you struggle as well? What do your struggles teach you? Maybe you see a pair of shoes or some lovely thing that you want to buy, and instead of saving your money, you buy it, and then at the end of the day, when you're measuring, you realize that you meant to save, for example, $1,000, but you only saved $50. Why? What do you learn out of that? What are you going to do differently? Not only that, how we interact with one another. Some relationships are easy, others are not. But I'm, 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 I'm a firm believer that we need to be present in our lives, and we need to be taking note and learning even from our day-to-day experiences. So yes, learning individuals, very key. Learning leaders, very key, because change happens from the top down. Yes, it can happen from the bottom up or even from the middle, but if you want to drive change in an organization, the leaders have to buy into it. I've worked for many years as a consultant, as I mentioned earlier, and you find that yes, they want you to do the training, but not them, but you train from the middle level down. But if you want true transformation to have, and true learning to happen, and true learning to also take place, then we need to have the buy-in at the top, and then it needs to be coherently and systematically cascaded through the organization. So yes, individual learning, team learning, organizational learning, and of course, learning at the national level. And it's really about going through with a mindset of I am present, I am engaged, I am mindful, and what does every situation teach me? What does it teach me? What I should do more of? It teach me what I need less of? And we make those evaluations based on the outcomes that we want. So if you want, let's say, to lose weight, and you plan that you're going to work out, let's say, 4 times a week for half an hour every time, and then you start on your program, and let's say for the first week you do it perfectly, the second week you have that day you had a report to write or something urgent to do with your children, friends, or family, so it falls by the wayside, and by the end of the month you find that instead of doing 4 sessions a week, totaling 16, you just ended up doing about 10. So as you look at your results, then you ask yourself, what do my results teach me? What sort of person am I? If I want to get to this place and I change nothing, will I achieve that? Then if I won't achieve it, what needs to change? And then becoming very committed and determined to do those. Now, the beauty about organizations and nations is that we can hold one another accountable rather than making excuses. And then part of the learning is, did I bite too much? Maybe I should have bitten off something smaller in order to get where I want. So if we become observers of ourselves, there's a lot to learn. And there's a lot then for us to improve so that indeed true learning happens where there's change in our behavior.
Thank you so much, Caroline. That is very, very expansive submission right there. A lot of things come to my mind right now. I'm also a coach, but I'm listening to you. I hear that coaching plays a very crucial role in the learning and development and transformation of individuals, institutions, and society at large. One thing you said that I think I want you to throw more light on, which it struck me very hard. You said we need to be present in our lives. And you cannot take the individual outside the institution. Neither can you take the institutions outside society or a nation. Caroline, can you throw more light on how can we be present in our own lives? That is a very deep statement.
Yes. So allow me to talk about emotional intelligence a little bit. I'll try to unpack it in a nutshell within the time that we have. So emotional intelligence is about being aware of your own emotions and of other. So being aware of and managing your own emotions and those of other people. Now, the top element of emotional intelligence, there are 3 or 5 components to it, if depending on how you want to look at it. But even the three actually expand into the 5. So I'll just stick with the 3 because that's about to keep within our time frame and the other things we need to discuss today. So emotional intelligence, as I said, awareness and management of your own emotions and those of other people. And the 3 elements, the key ones, are self-awareness, self-regulation, and relationship management. So being aware of others and managing those relationships. And so how then do we become present? Self-awareness, first of all. Who am I? Why am I? What's my purpose? What's my motivations? And starting to become more present in terms of I like this, I don't like that. When I got angry at that moment in time, what really made me angry? Was it that I was afraid and so on? So starting to interrogate yourself, starting to interrogate your motivations, and also listening keenly when others are giving you feedback. So those are some of the ways, and of course, exposing yourself to new experiences, because as you go into a new situation and see how you act and react, then you learn more about yourself. So if you go online, there are a lot of self-awareness exercises you can do. Start really simply, but I think the most important thing is to ask yourself, who am I? To also look at the experiences of your life and, why did I react like that and so on. So just being interrogative. And then also, as you go through your life, like even right now, just being present. So you could be in a room, you look around and you're like, okay, I'm feeling cold right now, or I'm hungry, or how was my day today? So some reflection is important, regular reflection, not of analysis, but just being open to discovering who you are and ultimately liking yourself. So that's what I'd say about being present in our lives. Being present at the organizational level is not just, putting your head down and plowing through the things that you need to do with a view to meeting your targets, but it's doing it in a present way. What is working? What's not working? How are we doing it? Is there a better way to do it? Can we find it? What do we learn from the experiences that we've had in the past? Let's say meeting deadlines, or if it's production, meeting our quotas. Why aren't we meeting achieving our targets? Or even if you're achieving them, why aren't we? Or why are we? Why are we achieving our targets? What's helping us? What's not helping us? So really being aware about what's happening and also having those interrogations at the community and a national level. And so, how do we develop that mindset? I think it goes back to some of the stories that we do as Africans. Yes, we do things like this because this is what we learned, or this is what we learned about ourselves, or when mothers did this, it was done like this because of this. So, having those narratives, your personal narrative, your community narrative, and of course the national narrative, and documenting it and going back to it from time to time to remind ourselves. So there's a lot that we need to do. And I know it sounds like a lot of work that takes time, but it really doesn't. But I think the key is to be intentional.
Beautiful, beautiful. Intentionality, a lot of intentionality has to go into it. And I love the bit where you spoke about.
Yes. And if I may add, not just intentionality, but also openness. Like a child, you're curious and you're just looking to discover. Thank you. Back to you.
Yes, Caroline. So we need to, how are you going to be present with yourself? You have to be intentional. You have to be open, according to Caroline. Yes, we need to be open to ourselves. We need to have conversations with ourselves, interrogate you. Then you can also, institutional level, interrogate the institutional systems that are in place, the structures that are in place, the strategies that you put in place. And I was waiting while you were talking. You spent some time on interrogation. One thing that was rolling through my mind is reflection. Where does reflection come into this? And you just added it. You hit it right on the spot that outside interrogation, you need to frame it up with some reflection. And some of the questions you ask: who am I? What am I doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And this is a conversation that we need to take to the next level with ourselves at the family level, because we don't just get people out. The orientation, the mindset shift has to start right from that level. And I think, Caroline, if I add all of what you've said, I think Africa will be moving towards building a very resilient, innovative, and powerful workforce. Not just workforce, citizens. Caroline, we would want to go on that note talking about Africa. We want to take the song of the day, and because it's LnD Africa, our Africa LnD conference, we're going to be celebrating Africa this afternoon, and we're going to be taking Africa by Salifu Keita. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Across Africa's boardrooms and backrooms, a new era is rising. It's time to stop surviving and start thriving. Introducing Growth and Grind Africa, the game-changing radio show for leaders, dreamers, and doers. Every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Unique 95.7 FM. We bring you real conversations on leadership, coaching, transformation, and strategy. No fluff, just tools to grow, lead, and win in today's world. Whether you're behind the decks, behind the wheel, or at home, this is your moment. Your moment to plug in, level up, and transform your hustle into impact. From purpose to performance, we've got you. Starting 17 July 2025, live on Unique 95.7 MHz and on all Becca Africa social media platforms, Facebook, X, YouTube, and TikTok. Growth and Grind Africa. Learn it, lead it, live it. This program is powered by Becca Africa and LnD Africa, and also live on LnD Africa social media platforms. Across Africa's boardrooms and backrooms, a new era is rising. It's time to stop surviving and start thriving. Introducing Growth and Grind Africa, the game-changing radio show for leaders, dreamers, and doers. Every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Unique 95.7 FM. We bring you real conversations on leadership, coaching, transformation, and strategy. No fluff, just tools to grow, lead, and win in today's world. Whether you're behind the decks, behind the wheel, or at home, this is your moment. Your moment to plug in, level up, and transform your hustle into impact. From purpose to performance, we've got you. Starting 17 July 2025, live on Unique 95.7 MHz and on all Becca Africa social media platforms, Facebook, X, YouTube, and TikTok. Growth and Grind Africa. Learn it, lead it, live it. This program is powered by Becca Africa and LnD Africa, and also live on LnD Africa social media platforms.
The Transformative Talk Show. Growth and Grind Africa is brought to you by LnD Africa and Becca Africa. If you want to partner with us and take this transformation drive to the next level, then this is the show for you to sponsor. So we are open to sponsorship. Later on in the show, I will share some numbers that you can reach out to and say, hey, I want to support this. And you are also an institution, you want to advertise on our show. This is the show for you to be on, because we have all the corporate gurus and the young professionals coming up. So we get him back to the studio after that beautiful song, Africa, Africa, Africa. Madam, you're right here with me.
Yeah.
What do you say about all you've heard from Caroline?
We have work to do. we do have work to do. And what she said, she couldn't have put it any much better, because that is it. But you see, I get the sense from what she said that there is hope. All is not lost yet. We are on a journey, one step at a time, always at it. We'll get to our destination. But we need to put in the work. We need to put in the efforts. We need to put in the energy. But we'll get there. And I like the fact that it's a journey. It's not an event. We are on a journey, and we are on a direction, bit by bit. The only thing is not to stand still. We should keep moving. No matter how small the achievement is, we should celebrate and move so that we don't stop. But we'll get there. Yes.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll
We'll get there. We would be intentional about being present
Exactly.
with ourselves.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. Caroline, if we still have you back, thank you so much. You have really enlightened us about what learning and development is all about. To be honest with you, the perception out there, when you say LnD, you think about HR departments.
Yeah.
But today you have unpacked everything LnD right to the minutest for us to know, and the audience to know that LnD is not just about HR, it's about you, your personal investments, and how you can transition that development and encounter and growth into the institutions that you work with. And even we can bring it into the family space, in marriage, corporate space, in academia.
Yeah.
So LnD is not just about HR departments. Caroline, do you align with me on that?
100%. I absolutely do. And the one thing that I would want to add is the fact that leadership starts at the absolute micro level. So it starts with you and escalates. It's very easy to point fingers at others and say, well, how are you doing? And I believe leaders are learners. And so if we want to elevate everything from our families, our communities, elevate ourselves, elevate, nationally as well, and as a continent, then we have to learn, we have to lead, and we have to take action. Because without all those together, then it's like a three-legged stool with one leg, pulling the rest of the stool down. But we need to do that. But the key is that if we don't learn, then we repeat the same mistakes. And we don't want that. We want Africa to move ahead and Africa to grow and to thrive. One of the interesting statistics, if I may add, that was shared today is that by the year 2050, one person in the world out of four people will be an African. And
Wow.
so that's very, yes,
That is a
yes,
beautiful
we are growing.
research out there.
And our young people, I know, will be fruitful and multiply and literally fill the earth. And so, what sort of Africans will we be? What contribution will we be doing? So, again, also part of the openness, just being innovative and being solution minded as opposed to being problem minded. So, yes, leadership, learning combined with action, very key. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. One thing I'll take out from that is if we don't learn, we don't grow. So we have to learn. We have to be learning citizens. We need to reflect. We need to interrogate. We need to refine so that we can grow. All too soon, we've come to the end of the show. We would want to take your parting words, Caroline. I know it's what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is the climax of your program. As you give us your parting words, maybe you want to just give us a gist of what is expected for tomorrow so that those joining online from Ghana, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, and other African countries can be excited not to miss out.
Absolutely, yes. I'm really excited about the 2 days that we've had. This is the first time the conference is running for more than 2 days. It started as an online, as a virtual conference, and then it became hybrid initially for 1 day, then 2 days, and this year is the first time that we're having it running for 3 days. And the feedback we've had is that it doesn't feel rushed, and we've had time to reflect during the breaks and to discuss. Just to share what the themes have been, overall, we've looked at AI learning, transforming education for the future. We've looked at moving from chalkboard to chatbots. Future-ready skills has been key from rural to urban, expanding learning opportunities, and of course, bridging skills gaps. So tomorrow we bring it to a close, and tomorrow we'll be having discussions talking about data, talking about also how do we actually harness the laws of our nature to bridge the gap. So really just culminating all the discussions that we've been having. We'll also be talking about the evolution of learning. So learning then and now, and we'll be looking, of course, at AI and
Yes,
very
what to
rich
expect.
discussions.
So,
Very rich discussions, and you're all invited. So this is a personal invitation from the chair. Come, engage, get the vibe, go and transform yourself first and your organization. So it would be vibrant. I believe you'll be able to share the link so that all those who are listening online will be able to join. And my
beautiful.
parting shot really is become a learner.
Become a
Become
learner. Become
present
a
and
learner.
open, and let's learn and grow and build from where we are.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, Caroline. It's been so wonderful having you on the show. Great insight into education. We do not know. Patricia, the
Yes,
conference is in just how many days?
it's in 14 days, right? So 30th October, the Golden Bean Hotel in Kumasi.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not only for HR practitioners because of the theme. We are looking at how we can harness our people and to drive growth. And this one we're talking about sustainable growth. And so every line manager, every business owner, CEO, wherever you are, join us in Kumasi and let's have this conversation. There's also online version. But let me acknowledge the partnership of Baka Africa and also Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Our sponsor, Amefima Rural Bank. They have been with us since 2023. We are grateful for your support. HR Network Africa, SHRP, Okante Studios, Click Impressions, and all our partners. We are grateful for your support. Please be part of the conversation. We are going to give you practical tips, something that you can go back to organizations and implement immediately. And that has been the mark of all our conferences and our training programs. We don't just talk. We just give you what you can implement immediately on the job. And the people who are coming have the experience. They have done it. They have the capacity. They are sharing their experiences with you, how they did it, so that you can also do it.
And the date is 30th October.
30th October.
Is there a fee?
Yes, for online participation is 520 Ghana cedis.
Okay, that's very moderate.
Very, very, very moderate. And
so if you don't have the luxury of
60.
driving or flying all the way to Kumasi, it's just 520 cedi, and you can join the conference live in the comfort of your home or office. And for in person,
it's 620 Ghana cedis.
It's highly subsidized. This is highly subsidized.
Highly subsidized. So because we just want to make an impact in advancing the HR profession, not really to make profit out of it. That is why we think that every person who has the practice and also organizational development at heart should be part of this conference.
Thank you so much, Patricia, and all the best wishes in your conference. I know it's going to go very well.
Thank you. Just in case if someone wants more information, is it okay to?
Yes, what's the number?
So it's 0244 629245.
0244-629245, and that's the number you need to call to get all the information you need to know about HR CDAT HR Conference 2025 Kumasi version. And all the way in Kenya, Coach Margaret is not here. The LnD conference is going live in We have powerful people who will be joining us. MFA Duya, she's with UNDP. Paul Nyama, the country director for OM. And then we have a gentleman called, the name is very interesting, Kickoff at Tengley. So join the show. The number to call is 053-700-5510 for sponsorship. This is Growth and Grind Africa. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember, be present with yourself. From me in the studio today, it's a goodbye. Have a good evening.
Because it's a thing that has been given to you. So that is now, yours. The question is, do you have ownership of that? Have you discovered who you are? I have a head. I bought it from the market. No. So it was made by someone. I own it.